Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Golden Wind Geekout. I'm your host, Dani, and looks like I'll be going solo today. Hope you all had a very good Thanksgiving. I know I did. Ryan, I know he was doing family stuff, and at least at the time of this recording, it is Saturday. I have yet to hear from him, so just on the off chance that I don't hear from him anytime soon, I'm just going to go on ahead and record solo just for this episode, which kind of sucks considering that this is a very heavy Mista episode, and Mista is Ryan's favorite character. But regardless, let's just move on with the episode. So that being said, gotta say the beginning kind of threw me in for a loop for two reasons. One, we're getting Mista's backstory now. Like, in the manga, we didn't get Mista's backstory until the White Album fight, which is close to the halfway point. So, I'm not quite sure why they decided to go on ahead and animate Mista's backstory at this point. I mean, I kind of got the idea with Abakio, because as Ryan, myself, and many others are predicting, by moving Abakio's backstory further up, as opposed to when it originally was in the manga, it's going to leave way for Fugo's backstory, and really the guy kind of deserves the spot there. So I got that reasoning behind it. I'm not quite sure why they decided to move Mista's up. Let alone, reason number two, we only got half of Mista's backstory. Again, this is kind of weird, because we got Giorno and Abakio's backstories in full, plus minutes of new content to flesh things out further, and yet for some reason we only got the first half of Mista's backstory. I don't really understand why they decided, you know what, let's just divide this one character's backstory in half when we've already displayed everybody else's so far, in full. So it's entirely possible that right before the White Album fight, we'll get the second half of Mista's backstory. And the second half is kind of important, because that actually shows how he got into Passione in the first place. I believe, was it the last episode or the episode before that, I think? Actually, I think it was the episode before that, because this is when we were talking about Abakio's backstory. I did mention that in the manga, we do see that for Mista and Narancia, we do see that Bruno had a hand in them joining Passione. And we did not see that here. Like, it goes up to the incident that causes, the snowball that will bring him to Passione, but that's where they chose to stop it. So it's entirely possible we'll see the second half later on. I still kind of have to question why take that approach for this character alone. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. I love Mista. He is a badass baby and all, but why does he get this treatment? Giorno and Abakio got all of their backstories entirely. So why doesn't Mista get this opportunity? I just don't get it. But as far as the backstory is concerned, it's pretty much from the manga. There's really no new content here or anything. It's like, we do see that, he lived a relatively simple life. He would, he'd sleep, he'd eat wine and cheese, he'd hit on girls, he'll get into fights for petty reasons, but the point behind it all was that he's just the kind of character to try to not overthink things, because as soon as things get complicated, that invites fear into your heart, and that freaks him the fuck out. He's very much the person, he prefers to see things very black and white, as we see in the backstory, where he sees that this poor woman is getting beaten and raped in the back of a car. And, anybody else seeing this would probably, not want to interfere, whether it's, due to their own safety, or they're just thinking, okay, this is gangster business, I gotta stay the fuck out of here. But that's not the case for Mista. Because he sees things black and white, all he saw was, there is a woman in trouble, I gotta do something. And I think that's really part of the reason why we love Mista so much. It really is part of his charm, along with the fact that he is just a, super badass. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like, we get the incident, we see that he shoots she shoots the guys, 4 bullets, oh my God, number 4 strikes again. And then it just transitions back into the beginning of the Kraftwork fight. Now, for the most part, again, nothing really new added into this episode. It's just pretty much fleshing out the fight. So, we do see how, we get to see how Saleh's stand Kraftwork operates, or should I say, arts and crafts. Okay. I think that just might be the stupidest fucking stand name change I've seen come out of this series so far. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know I go on and on about, Aerosmith becoming Little Bomber and Sticky Fingers becoming Zipperman. I mean, there's a reason why they've become fucking memes. But arts and crafts, really? That's the best we can come up with? I was initially thinking, well, why not do something like crafting lock or something? I mean, the whole point behind Kraftwork is to lock objects. So I figured if anything, let's just swap out one word, but get a lock in there or something. But nope, they decided arts and crafts. Yeah, I'm sorry, Sal. That is a stupid fucking name change. What the fuck, man? I just hope that we don't get any more stupid and ridiculous ones. I hope that, the future stands that we're going to be seeing, they're just going to have synonyms swapped out like what we've been seeing before, because this is just embarrassing. But, oh my God, I never would have predicted arts and crafts. I mean, one of these days, we keep predicting the stand names. One of these days, we're going to get one right. I swear. One of these days, it's going to happen. But, oh God, okay, I gotta move on. I gotta get off this arts and crafts thing because that's just fucking dumb. So, as far as the fight and everything, I gotta say I definitely like the animation that we were seeing in here, especially when it came to Kraftwork. I remember the scene where, we see how he is, locking the pebbles. He got shot in the throat. He's, and he's throwing pebbles and he's using them as a step ladder to get back into the fight. I don't know why, but I really dig the animation. Just actually seeing him, you see him throw the rocks, but you literally see him, crawling. But you also see that he's struggling. Because you got to remember, he's been shot in the ankle, he's been shot in the head, he's been shot in the throat. The guy's taking some damage. He's not going to be, hopping around like it's no big deal. He's going to struggle. And, kudos to David Production for actually showing that, he is struggling to try to, climb these frickin' pebbles. But God damn it, man, he is determined. Speaking of which, okay, I gotta say, I'm actually really impressed by the whole lack of censorship here. I figured, okay, Saleh is constantly getting shot up. We see him getting shot in the head. We see him getting shot in the throat. And usually I'm expecting maybe a shadow at that bullet wound or something. So we may see the blood fountain, but you'll see a shadow or something, to where the actual wound is taking place. Because that's what they've done in the past. I mean, hell, they did that earlier in this part where, where Giorno's coughing up Leaky Eye Luca's fingers. Now, admittedly, that's just more so because, if the shadows weren't in place, you'd be seeing bone and muscle and stuff, and it's yeah, that's to be expected. I mean, that's what happened with Diamond is Unbreakable when it came to all the various hands that Kira was making. They were constantly getting censored because, you were seeing, the actual muscle and bone in those hands. So it makes sense there. But I was seriously expecting a lot more censorship, especially in this fight, just because there is a lot of people getting shot up. Not just Sully, but Mr. 2. And I'm actually really surprised that no, that is not the case. Now, granted, there are some instances where it looks like there is an effect or something that is in the way. The last shot, for example. The whole bit where, the Sex Pistols, they kick the bullet, split the bullet in two, and then one goes into the previous head wound to dig the bullet further into his brain. You can see that there is kind of a rippling effect. And it looks like, maybe that's part of the censorship. Kind of like what happened with Black Sabbath when Popo had, committed suicide. So I gotta say, I'm really surprised that, these are not getting nearly as censored. Because, yeah, part 5 is the most bloody, gore-tastic part. And this is the part that I was saying where, yes, previous parts of JoJo have been censored, but I figured part 5 would really get it bad in some places. And so far, I gotta say, I'm actually kind of surprised by the lack of censorship. I mean, now that's not to say that we shouldn't expect any in the future. I mean, I'm still saying that there is one particular fight that I'm seriously thinking is going to be censored so bad that the fight's going to be damn near unwatchable because of how gory it is. But we got a long ways away before we get to that fight, so we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But yeah, I gotta say, I'm actually kind of surprised by the lack of censorship here. So I don't know, maybe Japan's getting a little bit more lax on this, or, I don't really understand what constitutes, what does Japan deem worthy of the censorship and what doesn't. I still don't understand it, but, suffice it to say, kind of surprised. Other things about this episode. I gotta say, I still enjoyed the dialogue with the driver. The driver was pretty goddamn funny in the manga, and, it is definitely, the guy who voiced the driver did a pretty good job because, getting his panicky voice and everything, even like at the very end, where when the fight's over and he's trying to act like Mr. Big Shot, then Giorno comes in and threatens him, drive the truck. He's like, oh, okay. I gotta say, that actor got the wide range of emotions. Speaking of which, this is where I wish Ryan was here, because Ryan can definitely get his own 2 bits in there. Ryan, if you are watching, by all means, please leave like a comment or feel free to make your own video response or whatever. But the scene where Mista, you see, he's got the 4 bullets in his hand because he's dropped the bullets and all he's left is with 4. And we all know Mista's fear with 4 because every time something with 4 happens to him, something bad happens. And, of course, this is where he ends up getting shot and everything. So, in the manga, you definitely see that he's getting panicky. And to an extent, you do see him getting panicky here. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I was honestly expecting him to probably express that a little bit more. I was expecting him to be screaming and everything, going what the fuck? But he actually yeah, you can tell, yeah, he's being panicky, but it didn't, I wasn't really hearing it so much in his voice. I wasn't hearing the right inflections. I wasn't really hearing any kind of stuttering, or his talking was maybe going quicker because he's his mind is racing. I don't know. I didn't really feel that or anything. So I think maybe that's something that they, that probably could have done another retake or something, is Mista's panicking. But again, that's just me. I'm curious as to what do you guys have to say about that. Did you think he did a good job as far as displaying the sheer panic of being left with 4 bullets? Because I thought that could have used a little bit more work. I guess speaking of voice work, so I did take a look on the JoJo Wiki, because I know Ryan and we asked about, who voiced the Sex Pistols, just out of curiosity, and I looked it up on the JoJo Wiki, and it turns out it's actually Mrs. Voice Actor. So either he's really good at pitching himself, or, they just happen to be really good at pitching voices, because it's I hear Mista, listen to the Sex Pistols, they don't sound like the same person. So it's good job there. Again, I don't know if that's David Production we should be thanking for, or is that Mista's voice actor and he can just pitch himself. I don't know why. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the episode is concerned. There's no real new scenes added or anything. I mean, it's just the Kraftwork fight illustrated from beginning to end. So as far as next week, we're finally getting Trish. And Trish, for those of you who are only watching the anime and who have not read the manga, Trish is one of the best female characters to come out of this entire series. She's definitely one of my favorites, like top 3 easily. And I have been waiting for something with her because, you know, even when, before this series was even like airing, you know, we were seeing the character previews, we were seeing the concept arts, but we were only seeing the boys. We saw nothing of Trish, which kind of shocked me considering she plays just as big of a part in part 5 as the boys do. But we knew nothing. In fact, the first time we even saw how Trish was even going to look like in the anime was in the opening and the ending. So, you know, okay then, I don't know why they waited that long, but whatever. So, I don't know who her voice actress is going to be. I'm certainly hoping that it's going to be somebody good. You know, they've been doing a pretty good job so far, you know. Yeah, like, once the new episode airs, and, like, once we see that we have confirmation as to who her voice actress is, I'll take a look, and I will see, you know, okay, what were her previous roles, just so you guys have a voice comparison. But, yeah, so Trish will be coming in next week, and I am predicting it's going to lead up to the next fight, but I'm also predicting that we're going to be, you know, we're probably going to be getting some new content because in the manga, we got the bare basics of Trish's backstory. Like, literally right when she's introduced, we get a very abridged backstory behind her. Like, you know, okay, who she is, you know, the circumstances that have led up to where she is right now, and that's about it. Considering how David Production has been adding a lot of new content, especially when it comes to the backstories to try and flesh things out, I would not be surprised if we see a couple of new scenes here and there of, you know, maybe Trish's childhood, or maybe Trish with her mom, or, you know, or something. Like, you know, I anticipate that we'll be seeing some new Trish content that is exclusive for the anime. At least that's, you know, now you got me expecting this shit now, David Production. But, yeah, and I think we're going to be moving right up to the next fight. And the next fight starts the group of villains that many fans, myself included, we often regard as being some of the best minor villains in JoJo. And that is, they are known as the Assassin Team. I believe their full name is like La Squadra de Execution or something, but we just call them La Squadra. La Squadra is going to be coming in next. And this is when shit's going to get batshit insane. This is where we're probably going to start expecting fights to be taking 2 full episodes. You know, not like, you know, okay, we're going to start towards like the end of one, and then the next episode is the whole fight, kind of like what we saw with Black Sabbath, with Soft Machine, and Kraftwork for that matter. I am predicting that once we get into the La Squadra fights, we're gonna start seeing, it's gonna start taking 2 episodes to get through the La Squadra fights. So, as I've been doing with Soft Machine and Kraftwork, I'm gonna throw in a little teaser for the next musical reference fight.
It's so easy to slip. It's so easy to fall.
So now we got that going for us. So, yeah, man, we got a lot of shit. We got a lot of things that are coming. You know, next week is going to be, you know, obviously not a combat episode. This is another one that's going to be a lot of setup. But the one after that is when we're going to start seeing, you know, the combat coming in. And it's just going to go, it's going to be way more batshit from here. So yeah, so with that said, guys, I really hope that you're enjoying what you're seeing so far of Golden Wind. Hope you enjoyed the Kraftwork fight, and we will see you next week, hopefully with Ryan in tow. And we'll see you next week when we gush over Trish.